Welcome
Welcome
to
Winterfest.
Winterfest.
Welcome to day 7 of the 12 days of Winterfest. Hi, my name is Susan Palmer. Today we're going to be visiting with Valerie Spagnolo, and she's going to be telling us about her 2 quilts, Gone Fishing and Red Rose. Please let me introduce another amazing Cama Beach quilter, Valerie Spagnolo. Hi, Valerie.
Hi, Susan.
So tell me, how did you find your quilt life?
Well, that's an easy one. I moved up here from Bothell, Washington, where I was teaching, and my next door neighbor happens to be very, very involved with quilting. And so she came over one day when the house was, I guess, had walls and everything, and she talked to the contractor, and he told her that one of the rooms was my sewing room. So when I got to finally move up here, she introduced herself, and her name is Pam Fredrickson. She said, "Oh, I hear you have your sewing room. Have you ever quilted?" And I told her, "No, I never have, but I am dying to learn because my sister wants to learn how to quilt." That is how I got involved with starting to quilt. And wow, I have learned so many things that I didn't know from a lot of amazing people. When I first started binding, I'm pretty particular, so I tried to do a really good job and make sure that you couldn't see any of my stitches because I do it mostly by hand. But I remember Diane Dalton came and she stuck her little pinky and she goes, "Oh, too much room, too much room." So now I make my stitches like about this far apart. So I learned that. Another thing I learned that really is quite helpful is measuring border pieces in the middle of your quilt, because I have had a few quilts that have not matched up very nicely. Measuring from the middle of a quilt is a very, very good technique. And whenever I get myself into any trouble whatsoever, I pick up the phone and I call Pam and she comes over. And I remember Kathleen one time came over because I was trying one of my first quilts. I was trying to do a mitered corner and Kathleen showed me how to do it. So the willingness of people to be very, very helpful has been just amazing.
All right, let's bring up your first quilt. Gone Fishing.
Gone Fishing, yeah. I'm not quite sure why it has that name, but that's the name that the Cama Beach Quilters gave it. Maybe they think it's fish in the water.
I saw the birds flying over water.
Yes.
So that's why I quilted it like I did.
Mhm.
All right, so let's talk about your quilt. How did this come to be?
Well, I had made a previous quilt for this. I was visiting my sister-in-law, and she is an Alabama fan. And she saw this quilt that had Alabama colors. And so we had to buy we bought the pattern, we bought all the material that was in the quilt and everything. So I made it once before. And with Cama Beach, sometimes we get pieces of material that are smaller. And so I was trying to think of what I could make, because if you look at the pieces, they came as a group of fabrics. And so they got smaller and smaller and smaller. I thought, well, what pattern do I have that I have made that I could make something that has smaller pieces in it? And so this one was easy and fit into that category because the pieces where I use the material are the geese, okay? And then I happen to have the background material, and so it just worked. I thought it worked perfectly. Because of the beds are a certain size at Cama Beach, what I did was I ended up adding 2 borders in order to make it a little bit bigger so that they could fit on the beds at Cama Beach.
The geese, the triangles, they're quite large actually.
Yeah, but they really didn't take up a lot of material. They took up, I think, a square. I only needed 1 square that was 10 by 10 inches, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it worked out that I measured all the pieces, so a couple of them I could get 2, and then some of them I could only get 1 piece out of.
So it gives a very modern flair to, I think, a very traditional quilt, which is nice.
And I liked putting in the green. There, you can see in the turquoise ones with the round circles, there's a little bit of green. And I don't know if I have this tendency, but I sometimes take an outlier color and I use that.
I like that idea. All right, let me see if I can get the back. So a totally different color for the back.
Well, it does have some of the purple from the front. So what we do at Cama Beach is we get a whole bunch of fabric we can use for the backing. Some people piece it, but because those colors are in some of the pieces in the front, we used it. And Pam is amazing. The binding has the purples and the blue, and it is so amazing how that worked out. I couldn't even believe that she had that material. It worked out perfectly. And we have this tradition that she does stripes. And so it was a stripe and it had the blues and the purple, the red purples. And I thought, wow, that's just too amazing.
Quilt number 527, Gone Fishing by Valerie Spagnolo. So let's go to your next quilt. And this one is called Red Rose.
Well, this one fits a little bit more, I think, the title of it, because of the red in it. I belonged to CIQ a while back. Cama Beach Quilters, I like that group because it's smaller and I tend to thrive a little bit better in smaller settings. When I did belong to CIQ, we used to have an exchange where we used to exchange 2.5 strips of fabric. I saw this quilt in the book. I thought, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to make a red, white, and black quilt, and I had all these strips from CIQ, and I saw this pattern, so I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to make it. But one of the things that was different, stripes that look like a border, those were supposed to be solid red or solid color. They had a solid color, and I decided that I had so many pieces of material still left over. I was going to make the border using the same material that I did for the inside stripe. And I had to make it a lot bigger than it called for because the pattern only had about 4 rows. And so since I wanted to fit it on the bed, I just added a couple more rows. I happened to have some black material that had a little bit of a pattern, and that is in the strip, and it's also in the border. But this one I really, really fell in love with. I think it came out really nice. It was a lot of fun to work on.
It is beautiful. And the 2 strips of border that you have in the red, I mean, that just gives it so much detail.
I just think that it added to it a lot, for sure.
All right, let's take a look at the back of this one. 4-patch.
Yes, and once again, it's because of the material that you can find in the bins at Cama Beach. The red looks like squares. We had a lot of that material, but not as much of the stripe. I'm always amazed at how some of the ladies do the backing. I think that one of my favorite people who does gorgeous backs is Melinda Brown. She just has a talent for making the backs absolutely beautiful, almost as beautiful as the front of her quilt. This was fun to add the 3 different colors because of the material that they had at Cama Beach.
Quilt number 529, Red Rose by Valerie Spagnolo. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Valerie's quilts are beautiful. Now for a little special treat, here are the outtakes from our Welcome to Winterfest that we filmed today.
Welcome to Winterfest. Oh, welcome. Okay, it's going to be welcome to Winterfest. Welcome
to
Winterfest.
Winterfest.
Let's try it again. Welcome
to
Winterfest.
Welcome to
Winterfest.
1, 2, welcome. 1, 2, 3, welcome to. Stop. 1, 2, 3, Winterfest.
Welcome
to
Winterfest.
Winterfest.
I said,
Welcome to
Winterfest.
Winterfest. Welcome to Winterfest.
I think it's better.
Welcome to Winterfest. Oh, here's Lilia.
Oh,
Well, we should do it again.
that's one more body.
All
We
right.
can't do it any worse.
Well, then you have a lot of
better.
choices also.
Yeah. Yep. Lily, are you on board? Winterfest and
Welcome to
1, 2, 3.
Winterfest.
Yes.
Hey.
Yay.
I
Okay.
think we should just say Merry Christmas.